Hi Virgo. Welcome to your mid-May tarot and astrology reading. As you're probably quite aware, there's a lot going on with your ruler Mercury this month. As you're also probably aware, there's a lot going on with Neptune in your partnership sector this month. It's a lot. But nevertheless, we are offered a new moon in Gemini that is very much supported by Saturn. Saturn being in your 6th house, the house that you rule. So what does it mean? Well, the new moon in Gemini. Gemini is, of course, your career. It is your fame. It is your reputation. It is your social standing. Gemini energy will not let you go through it without being quite busy, without being quite thoughtful about where you'd like your career to go, what you'd like your career to be. A lot of the times as Virgo rules the 6th house, you get very lost in being of service, that you forget that you have dreams, all of your own. In many cases, a Virgo's employer's dreams become their own. Venus having an extended stay in Gemini, the true node being in Gemini, Mercury in Gemini, a new moon in Gemini, and the sun in Gemini will not let you go without deciding what you gotta do. And what's so beautiful about this new moon is the relationship it has with Saturn. And the Aquarius energy for you, that 6th house, it's really asking you to have a fresh start. It's really asking you to set the intentions, Virgo, of what it is that you would most like for yourself in career, where you would most like to thrive, where you'd most like to work, where you'd most like to be appreciated. The beautiful energy that is sticking out for me for the earth signs in particular is the Sun-Jupiter trine. The sun is obviously in Taurus. It is your 9th house of philosophy, of optimism, and it is in a beautiful alignment with Capricorn, which is your 5th house of romance and creativity. So the blessings for you are in your creativity, how you love, the pleasurable side of life. And it's asking you for the remainder of Taurus season to at least indulge in the things you most love to do. Now, Mercury, your ruler, is going to form a conjunction with the true node on the 28th. And that is a pretty good time to hear your calling, to understand what it is that your purpose in life is, because everyone has one. What your purpose is in terms of bringing to the world. Virgos, through your sheer perfectionism and your sheer understanding of the fundamentals of what it takes to make something work, make a project work, a lot of people are going to be angling for your expertise. A lot of people are going to want what you have. If you need to shift up big energies in your career, this is the season to do it. It is not the season to jump head first into a new job. It is a time of reflection, but it's also a time to get some things rolling without signing on the dotted line. If you have to sign on the dotted line, just be prepared that you may have to go back on it later, but it's okay. You use this time for honing in on your skills, doing the research. You cannot lose. Venus in Gemini, Venus the planet of money, Venus the planet of love, is possibly connecting many Virgos to somebody in the workplace. Somebody that you've worked with before. These are the type of people that return in your life during Venus retrograde. Old colleagues. Perhaps somebody that you always thought about but never quite got off the ground with. Could be the person that you reconnect with. It's likely that the people that come back during your Venus retrograde cycle are people that are very well off, people that are very well known, people that are quite high up the ladder. And perhaps they can help you out. A lot of people are going to want to help you out. and you have done enough for everybody else that I think you should take the help. 3 of Pentacles, other people want to help you out. 7 of Wands, Queen of Swords, 10 of Swords, and the Sun. Nice. Ooh, underneath we have Ace of Cups, apologies. What a hand. King of Wands and the World, as if it could get any better. Okay, but there is the elephant in the room, the 10 of Swords. So let's examine that fact first of all, because I think you'd like to know the problem before you know where the accolades are. Respectable. There's been a lot of disappointment. And I think the 10 is indicative of disappointments in your career, disappointments in your life, where you were a victim of circumstance. Something that you have felt for a while is always going to hold you back. For a lot of you, Saturn in the 6th house is showing you where physical ailments or mental health ailments are there to be understood and conquered for you. Saturn in the 6th house is where a lot of people restrict themselves in terms of what they could do for their health. And it's a lot of the times where people feel restricted by their own bodies. They feel restricted by their own minds even. And as a Virgo, you're so good at working through things, and you're so good at, more than any other sign, overcompensating elsewhere for where you feel you lack something. So a lot of the time with Virgos, you find that where they are missing a particular skill or characteristic, they oftentimes marry somebody that is an overwhelmingly high level of that particular thing. So where Virgos feel like they did not get the best education, for example, and they feel like it really holds them back, they often marry somebody, for example, that went to very prestigious universities. You see this in people that have Virgo in their chart. They so often match it. They match that insecurity with somebody who can provide that in the partnership, right? So Venus squaring off Neptune in your partnership sector can actually work against you in terms of your career if you are focusing so hard on what it is that you don't have, right? Especially if you're single. I think a lot of you will be picking at yourself in terms of what you feel it is that you lack. Now, what's interesting though is if you're dealing with an air sign, if you're dealing with a Libra, an Aquarius, or a Gemini, they really see where you excel, and that's the only thing that they really see. So this could be in work, this could be in your relationships, but there is somebody who is very, very, very certain that you're the right person for the job. And I think for many of you, this is somebody that you used to work with or you used to romance with. Again, I feel like it's somebody that is very, very emotionally guarded. And it can often come across as where they might use people. So be careful if that's what the energy is. But if it's somebody that sees your value and sees that you have these particular skills, and for a lot of you this could represent simply Mercury being in Gemini, your ruler in your 10th house would really like to push you into something better. And believe it or not, the Sun, the King of Wands, and the World, by August, and I think I've said this to you before, by August time, as we lead towards your season, as we're progressing through your 12th house, you will have conquered a lot of demons. And for a lot of you, you will have made this alchemy type decision of turning your weakness from this new moon, turning your weakness into your greatest strength, your greatest power. The thing you feel you lack the most is actually the key to your success. Whether it's teaching other people about it, whether it's figuring out what to do about it, by Leo season in August, Virgo, you are quite simply, career-wise, if you take the risks, going to be more successful than you ever deemed possible. whether that's a huge promotion, whether that's your own business. Bear in mind, Venus leaves Gemini in August. And while Venus is retrograde until the 25th of June, I would like you to restrain yourself from signing on the dotted line. Again, it's a time for reflection, research for sure, but do not make huge decisions, particularly not where your career and reputation stand. That being said, with the Queen of Swords in the positive, Mercury as well, its connection with Venus retrograde in Gemini, would like you to be very careful of how you communicate to your superiors or how you communicate to people in general, because chances are, with Venus retrograde in Gemini, if karmically speaking, if you've really wronged somebody in career, they could reappear in your life with more power. Just be careful of that. Let's get to the good stuff. If you're dealing with a fire sign, particularly a Leo, it looks really good, especially where joint ventures are indicated, with a Leo in particular, especially if you're married to one. Where you're dealing with the fire signs in general, there really is a sense of happiness and optimism and completeness. For a lot of you, the Ace of Cups is a new emotional venture, possibly with somebody, possibly with a Gemini. Maybe water sign, Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces. But there is somebody in your life, I think. And I know romances are tricky in Venus retrograde. If it's a new romance, take it slow, okay? You don't know the person fully if you've never met them before. If it's somebody from your past that you were always interested in, but it never got off the ground and they reappear, I think there's a lot you could re-examine here. I think there's a chance that for many of you, there was bad timing at play in terms of where you were in your career or where you were in your sense of self. I think for many of you, you go through instances where somebody appears in your dreams and then they appear on your phone. If you are looking for success globally, again, you're working toward it very well. But be careful, Virgo. Particularly Virgo rising, of how you articulate and present yourself, particularly as far as social media goes or your online interactions with people go. Confidence is quiet and arrogance is loud. Be careful of where you're being misconstrued. You can be very good at withholding the things you need to say until Mercury, particularly with the North Node, until Mercury starts pushing your buttons and you want to tell everybody what you think. Just be careful, because you're approaching a high level of success, and you know, it's that old saying of be careful who you meet on the way to the top. You know, because they're climbing too, and you might need them at some point, or you might at least need to be in favor with them. Keep it charming, keep it sweet, keep it warm, and somebody in particular will really help you out this month, especially in June. The Gemini energy can sometimes feel a little bit jarring, particularly if you have Mars in Virgo. Now, to talk about Mars in particular, as far as romance goes, the energy is quite good. Venus and Neptune clashing in terms of your career and your love life. Love at work could get quite messy. Be careful of that. Keep boundaries very clear where there's love relationships going on with colleagues or with somebody from the past. Mars in your partnership sector is really pushing your buttons in terms of your one-on-one dynamic relationships. Again, keep firm boundaries, but do not be too scathing. Do not be too cold, because it could really, really damage relationships. And we want this. Particularly if you're dealing with a fire sign, don't hit them right in the ego, because you know, especially if it's a Leo, how they react when you hit them in the ego. You don't want to do that. Trust me, you don't want to do that. Unless you want to be roasted like coal on a barbecue, don't do it. The world wants you to have the world at your feet. The world wants to be your oyster in the next 1, 2, 3. In the next 3 months, big changes are coming in your career. Be prepared to ride the wave and be your best definition of success. Love you very much, Virgo. I'll see you in the next reading.